This is The Sports Life.
Now they got to call timeout. They wind the clock. 9 seconds to play, and Drew Tate doesn't know that. The game's going to end on this play. He fires downfield. It's caught and into the end zone. Touchdown, Iowa! Touchdown, Iowa! No time on the clock. I don't believe what I just saw. Touchdown, Iowa! Oh my God! I can't believe what I just saw.
Gary Dolphin, the voice of the Iowa Hawkeyes. We thought we'd have a little fun and have a flashback. 2005, Iowa. On that play, beats LSU. And a lot of people couldn't believe what they just saw on that one. We'll team in here with Dalton Scheller and welcome into the Sports Life. We have a different kind of show, I think, for you this week. And one of the things we're going to do, we're going to talk hockey. And it's going to be a discussion about this event going on at Wrigley Field, the Big Ten Hockey Series. And I think people will find that intriguing.
I think they most certainly will. And if intriguing is the theme, later on we're going to be speaking with one of the most unorthodox stories of a player that we've ever really stumbled across. It's Michael Lindauer of Southern Illinois. Make sure you stay tuned for what the twist is on his journey.
Well, in terms of sounds of the week, this one is a classic.
It most certainly is, and you mentioned it's a lot of hockey events that are going to be going on here throughout this episode of The Sports Life, so we wanted to go back to one of our favorites, personally, here on The Sports Life, where we talked with former Michigan State player and head coach Danton Cole about when he won the Stanley Cup with the New Jersey Devils and decided to bring it back to East Lansing when he finally had his moment with the Cup, and what happened from there, it's hard to describe. Let's let Danton Cole take it the rest of the way.
What we did was it was coming from Randy McKay's place up in the UP. He was on the Devils, and so it got in early afternoon, and we got it cleaned up. And the guy that travels with it was pretty banged up, so he took a bit of a nap. But then early that evening, we had there's probably 100 people over the house. You know, Coach Mason and a bunch of the Millers, and guys I grew up with and guys I played with at State that were around. Everybody came over. We had a big party, and then afterwards, we decided to take it out in East Lansing, and we thought I think it was a Tuesday night. We thought it'd be a real quiet night, and take it down to Rick's where we used to hang out a little bit. And it ended up being the night that I think it was Michigan Fest back then, and there's like 20,000 people on campus at a Hootie and the Blowfish concert. So it ended up being really packed. Hootie and the Blowfish showed up at Rick's, so they were down there and they were getting pictures with it. And then Tiger Woods was playing, I think, in it's like the Western Amateur or something in Michigan, St. Joe area. So he ended up coming up and seeing one of his friends from college, and so he was at the bar, and it ended up being a pretty crazy night there, and it was pretty memorable. So we had a lot of fun with it, and a lot of people didn't think it was the real trophy, but we kind of did that. And then I think about 2 o'clock or so, we took it out for breakfast, and then the guy was out of there the next morning about 6 with the trophy.
I mean, just think about this. The Stanley Cup, Hootie and the Blowfish, Tiger Woods.
Well, one of the best parts of this, too, Will, that we later found out when Anson Carter, royalty of Michigan State hockey, entered the Michigan State Athletics Hall of Fame, he explained how Tiger Woods even got into Rick's for this legendary night to unfold.
But I do get asked all the time, whether I'm rocking the jersey on air or just wearing it around town in Atlanta, what made MSU so special? Why are you always flying that green and white flag? And one night in particular comes to mind. It was a night, I believe it was my junior year. I let Tiger Woods use my fake ID to get into Rick's. That same night I brought Hootie and the Blowfish downstairs because they're performing at Michigan Festival, and I was teaching them how to skate earlier that day. And then a couple of hours later, Danton Cole, former Michigan State Spartan, brought the Stanley Cup down there to let everyone drink out of the cup. I think even to this day, everyone talks about that being the best day in East Lansing history.
Oh, can you imagine just walking in and you're a hockey fan seeing all that? And I wonder if you walked into Rick's today, Dalton, would there be a little plaque?
There's got to be, right?
Got to be a plaque. Got to be a plaque. Well, when we come back with more of the Sports Life, we're going to get into some more hockey talk and a special event coming up at Wrigley Field. But first, this timeout.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit InsureKidsNow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate, painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. That's 800-948-6912.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes, I am.
Yay.
My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Teeman here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, coming up in about a week is a really nifty event for hockey fans. It's called the Big Ten Hockey Series. It's at Wrigley Field. And one of the participating teams is the University of Wisconsin. And Wisconsin's had some great hockey over a period of time. And they will be taking on Saturday, January the 4th, Michigan State for a 9 o'clock puck drop Eastern time. So, having said all that, we're now being joined by the longtime voice of the Wisconsin Badgers, Brian Posick. So, Brian, since you go back to 2002, 2003, that means every outdoor game the Badgers have played, you will have been part of, correct?
That is correct, Will. Great to talk to you. Yeah, this will be the 4th time they played outside. You know, we all remember the Cold War between Michigan and Michigan State at Spartan Stadium back in 2001. Wisconsin actually played the second collegiate outdoor game against Ohio State at iconic Lambeau Field in February of 2006. How fun! Oh my God, that was so much fun. And the Camp Randall Hockey Classic in Madison 4 years later, Badgers beat Michigan. And then Wisconsin also played in the Hockey City Classic at Soldier Field, home of the Bears, and beat Minnesota 3-2. Actually, the Badgers are 3-0 in outdoor games there, Will. So I don't think it has anything to do with me. We had some really good teams. The 2006 team won the national championship. The 2010 team went to the Frozen Four in Detroit. The 2013 team was an NCAA tournament team. So those were 3 good teams and a lot of memories from those times.
Well, Brian, you talk about Lambeau Field, Soldier Field, all these different beautiful backdrops. To throw Wrigley Field into that mix, what are you expecting for just an atmosphere environment to have an ice rink there on Wrigley Field?
Well, it's been done before with the National Hockey League, and they'll be doing it again leading up to the frozen confines. But, I'm a baseball nut dating back to my days in Indiana and in Kentucky, big Cincinnati Reds fan. I was fortunate to be a fan of the Big Red Machine in the mid-'70s. So I'm a baseball nut, and I've been to Wrigley a bunch of times, usually when the Reds are there, sometimes when the Brewers are there. But you can't pass up a trip to Wrigley Field. And to have an ice hockey rink from first to third base, to see the dead ivy on the brick walls, to see the old scoreboard, just the entire atmosphere from Waveland Avenue to Sheffield, Cubbyville surrounding. I'm pretty sure I'll go to Harry Carey's the night before the game. And just the history of that iconic ballpark. They played games at Fenway Park now for a long, long time too, fellas. It's just Wisconsin hasn't been part of that, or Big Ten teams haven't been part of that. That's more Hockey East or ECAC. But I can't wait. I have so many fond memories of going and watching the Reds beat up with the Cubs at Wrigley, and I'm hoping that the Red can become victorious at Wrigley on January 4th as well.
Well, Brian, I want you to put on your Big Ten cap just for a second here and think universally. Yeah. We saw the Nebraska volleyball team play at Memorial Stadium, and we've seen a lot of these events. In terms of increasing the popularity of college hockey, how important are these kind of games, you think?
Well, I think there is an importance to it. There's no question. Anytime you can do something to draw attention to your sport in a positive way, you need to investigate it. And so I tip my cap to the Big Ten and the 7 Big Ten hockey institutions for deciding to go forth with this, and for the Cubs to do the same thing. It's just unique. It's a special experience. Here let's look at it this way. So, okay, Wisconsin and Michigan State, 2 contenders in the Big Ten. The day before, Penn State's going to play. Penn State right now is 0-8 in the Big Ten, 6-9 overall. And there's a distinct, very strong possibility that the Nittany Lions season will end in the Big Ten tournament. So it will be a disappointing season for them. And I'm just using them for an example. And who knows, Guy Godowski might get the Nittany Lions rolling. I don't know. They've been without their starting goaltender for a while. But I'm using this as an example. To play a game outside at Wrigley Field, think of what that means for the senior class, the graduate students that might be on the roster, juniors, sophomores. It doesn't matter what class it is. That's something that they will remember forever. And so therefore, I think for the individual players and institutions, I think it's very important. But from a grand scheme of things, the Big Ten Network is going to be televising these games. All the teams will have their local radio networks involved. I would assume Sirius XM Radio will pick up some things. So it just reaches a broader scope of potential fans. And anytime you can do something like this, it certainly helps our sport.
Well, Brian, it'll be fun to see if you guys go 4-0 outside.
It would be nice. It would be a lot of fun. And, I'm trying to think. I was going to do a different version of Take Me Out to the Ball Game using hockey terms and phrases. So I need to still write something for that, Will. So if you have any suggestions, please text me what you might have. But because I'm thinking second intermission, don't you think we have to sing Take Me Out to the Hockey Game?
I think so, and we'll get some great lyrics, and then we'll go win a Grammy. What do you say?
Sure. That'd be great. Any help you can give me, Will. I know you got connections.
I appreciate it, Brian. Good luck with that broadcast.
Hey, Will, thanks. Dalton, nice talking with you.
So there you go, some of the thoughts of Brian Posick, longtime radio voice of the Wisconsin Badger hockey team. And speaking, Dalton, of longtime voices, Scott Moore is joining us now. Scott has been calling Spartan hockey on radio for 28 years, 19 with his current partner, Rob Woodward, affectionately known as Woody. And anyway, they have a great time. So, Scott, welcome in. And you have done this, and you were part of the cutting edge. How did you feel going into the Cold War, the first one of these ever?
all of the outdoor games that I've been through, Will, my main concern is, am I going to be able to see the numbers on the player shirts? Because you never know, how far away you're going to be. And I've been lucky so far. This will be our 6th outdoor game, counting, of course, the Cold War, the game that started it all. And so far, the view has been okay. But I've been in the press box at Wrigley Field, and I know how high up away from the ice it's going to be. This one, I may have to bring binoculars with a big croaky wrapped around them so they just stay on my head the whole time.
It's not a terrible idea. And you know what's interesting, Scott? We just finished talking with Brian Posick, the voice of the Wisconsin Badgers, and he had mentioned that he's a baseball aficionado. And so the idea of going to an iconic venue like Wrigley Field, it's worlds colliding. You double up as Michigan State baseball voice, too. Does this feel like worlds colliding personally for you?
Oh my goodness. And not only that, but with 3 years with the Lansing Lugnuts, we were a Cubs affiliate. And the team would go down at least once a year when they were playing at Kane County, and at least go down for batting practice. That's when I got a chance to get up into the press box. And it is a beautiful playing surface down there, and a great atmosphere. And I can only imagine with everybody hanging around, as long as everybody hangs around from the Friday games to the Saturday games, it's going to be great. I know there will be a lot of Spartans there. I know there will be a lot of Badgers, because the Badger women's team plays Ohio State in the first game on Saturday. So they will be there all day, bundled up, and probably well-oiled as well. So.
Well, Scott, away from this special event at Wrigley Field and the game against Wisconsin, I know there's a lot of hockey still to be played, but you've had a stretch already this year where Michigan State's been number one in the country. Mm-hmm. You've had a streak of 9 straight wins. And at the end of the day, this is only the 3rd season under this new coaching staff. Can you believe how good the Spartans have got this quickly?
As far as this quickly, no, that's I didn't expect it to be this quickly. Anytime that you look at a situation where a coach is coming in after another coach has been let go, it's usually because the team is not playing all that well. And a lot of the turnaround for Michigan State hockey has been because of the head coach and the assistants that he's brought in. A lot of it's been the recruiting that they've done, but the transfer portal has worked to their advantage. They've brought in guys like Isaac Howard and Joey Larson and Red Savage, who are the leaders on this team now, and that really helped the turnaround.
Scott, I wanted to ask you here, too. If you go back to last season, of course, you win the Big Ten regular season, you win the Big Ten tournament, and you win that Big Ten tournament championship against rival Michigan. It came down to the final goal where Michigan State put it in the net. You've been a part of some great memories like that, of course, a national championship back in 2007. What you're going to experience with this game at Wrigley Field is different than those. But can you illustrate to listeners what makes this still so special? And when you reflect back on your broadcasting career, this will still be a memory alongside those action-packed, intense games, but in a different way.
Well, it's different on a personal way because my dad grew up in Western Iowa, and the only Major League Baseball games he could get on the radio were Cubs games. So my dad grew up a Cubs fan and was a Cubs fan his entire life. And luckily, I got to take him to his first Cubs game when I was working for the Lugnuts. He had never been inside Wrigley Field, and his eyesight was failing a little bit. So I just sat next to him and told him what was going on. And he looked at me about the 4th or 5th inning and says, this is your day off. You don't need to be doing this. And I told him, no, now I can put on my resume that I called a Chicago Cubs game. So it's personal for me to be able to do a game at Wrigley Field. the outdoor games in particular, they're nice because they take the game back to its roots. When they had to play outside because there was no refrigeration. I was just looking over the record. The Spartans, this will be their 42nd outdoor game, but just their 6th since 1930. They used to play on the Red Cedar River at the dam where the administration building is. And there were about 3 or 4 seasons that they couldn't play any games because it didn't get cold enough, it didn't freeze over enough. So it really is taking the game back to its roots, and the guys love the excitement of playing an outdoor game. Even though they've been playing all their lives, they rarely get a chance to play outside unless it's just a game of shinny somewhere. So it's unique on a lot of fronts, and it's just fun on a lot of fronts.
Okay, Scott, here comes the big one. Okay. Of course, Brian Posick wants to take me out to the ball game, put some hockey verbiage in it, and sing it at the end of the second period. So, do you think you can help him? Is it even possible?
Well, I did hear that part of his interview as I was waiting, and I did come up with one line. You'd have to do obviously, take me out to the hockey game, take me out to the field. Buy me some poutine and lots of beer comes to mind.
I think we're on brand. We got something.
There we go.
Now we're talking hockey.
We'll kind of spread that around with the other play-by-play guys and see what they can come up with.
That'd be a good one. Well, Scott, I hope you and Woody have a blast at Wrigley Field. Thanks so much.
We will. It'll be fun.
A couple of fun chats with Brian Posick, the voice of the Wisconsin Badger hockey team, and longtime voice of the Michigan State hockey team, Scott Moore, as they're getting ready for a big event, the Big Ten Hockey Series at Wrigley Field, right after the first of the year. Now, coming up, we have another really good hockey story. We've talked to veteran Scott Moore, veteran Brian Posick. The next guy, not so much. It's a good story. Stay with us.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender.
How little?
A few days in the shop little. But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. That's 800-562-2407. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Here's a real-life story that affects 50% of all of us out there. It's called divorce.
If you've gotten divorced and now you're struggling to pay your bills and your credit card debts are completely out of control, you need to call this special debt relief hotline right now. We help people with all kinds of money problems caused by different life challenges, a divorce, a job loss, even heavy medical bills. All these life events can sometimes financially stress you out and cause you to get out of control. We help people get their lives back by showing them ways to consolidate and reduce their debt, in some cases for a fraction of what they owe. If your credit card balances are more than $10,000, call us and learn how to reduce your credit card bills and monthly payments now. Here's our number.
Paid for by Debt.com. Call now, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584. That's 800-810-1584.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Team here along with Dalton Shetler. And don't forget, Auto Owners Insurance, simple human sense. Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you. Well, coming up right after the first of the year, in January, is going to be this great event, I think. It's called the Big Ten Hockey Series at Wrigley Field. And it involves some of the big names in hockey, but it's kind of a gimmicky thing, Dalton. But at the end of the day, it's good hockey, and it's a chance to go to Wrigley Field, have a weekend in Chicago, and all that sort of thing.
Oh, how cool is this for the Big Ten to take center ice at Wrigley Field? A sentence that probably hasn't been uttered really that many times
Probably
before.
not.
But to talk about this a little bit more, I mean, we're talked a lot about what's going to be happening on Saturday. It is a two-day event. On Friday, Notre Dame's actually going to be dropping the puck against Penn State, and we have the voice of Notre Dame hockey joining us right now, Tyler Reidy. Tyler, thank you so much for spending the time with us. When you think about this event, and for Notre Dame, I mean, this is just a short drive down to Chicago. How great is this for Notre Dame, Wrigley Field, in hockey to all get married together?
It's going to be incredible. I mean, what a special week that's going to be, like you said, for the Big Ten entirely. But, I mean, for us with Notre Dame, Chicago's always been next door. We just had a couple of players that have been within the program the last 2 years in the Blackhawks organization. Landon Slaggert's still there. So, there are a ton of connections between Notre Dame hockey and Chicago from an NHL standpoint now. And, I mean, you've got a minor league affiliate of the Chicago Cubs here in South Bend as well. So that's just another layer to it to be playing at Wrigley Field. But, yeah, it's amazing. It's going to be a phenomenal week. Love that so many Big Ten teams, both on the men's and women's side, get the opportunity to play in such a venue, and everybody gets a little taste of the actual Winter Classic itself, too, with a great matchup between the Blackhawks and the Blues. So it's going to be terrific, and I absolutely can't wait.
For people who don't know, Tyler's fairly new to the headset there at Notre Dame, where he's starting as the voice of Notre Dame hockey, and there's something about his journey I want to talk about. But you, Tyler, with Notre Dame hockey, had a chance also to go to a pretty special place. You went overseas with the team, correct?
Yes, we just over a week ago were in Belfast, Northern Ireland, to become the first Big Ten team in Friendship 4 tournament history to partake in that event. So, yeah, flew over to Dublin about 4 or 5 days in advance, spent a night there, and then went up to Belfast for the remainder of the week. Got to do a lot of sightseeing. Team had a great opportunity to reset a little bit out of the grind of Big Ten play and bond and take some time away from the ice to just enjoy the scenes of Ireland and Northern Ireland, and thought they played pretty well in the tournament too. So it was a really fun week overall, and glad we got to do it. Hope we get to go back there soon.
That's pretty special. It's insane that you've had so many great experiences, because let's drop the bombshell on the audience now. Tyler, if you introduce yourself to all the listeners about what you currently are going through academically while you're doing this.
Yeah, so I am a junior at Notre Dame. Year 3 for me here in college, double majoring in business analytics and film, television, and theaters, about the closest thing academically you can get to a broadcast journalism type of degree here. So double majoring in that, and I have a minor as well in sport media and culture. So I'm hoping I graduate on time. Hoping hockey doesn't throw a wrench in that. It's certainly moved my academic schedules around a little bit this semester and looking ahead, but I love it. It's a fun challenge every week to kind of balance everything together, and having the chance to be with Notre Dame hockey and be their radio voice has been just incredible. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. No matter how difficult things get with, finals coming up in the next 2 weeks, and, we're going to Ohio State the weekend before I have a final on Monday, but I love it. It's what I want to do, man. And, sometimes you have to go through some tough times to have the fun in the end. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
So, Tyler, how did this work for you? What set of circumstances led you to this?
So last year, Darren Pritchett was in, his ultimately final year as the voice of Notre Dame hockey. And there were a few games here and there where he obligations. I know the first Minnesota game in February, he was at his son's senior night for high school basketball. So I filled in a couple times for him. I'd been all in on radio broadcasting, TV broadcasting, journalism, whatever it might be, since I got to Notre Dame. And I tried to make that as evident as I could through just the work I was doing, the reps I was trying to get through my first 2 years, and ended up getting connected to some of the station leadership for Notre Dame hockey, and filled in for Darren a couple of times. And then the position opened up in May when he retired. And summer went by. I poked around, asked a few people, like, hey, do you have any idea, where they might be going with this? And in September, some conversations started to surface that, like, hey, maybe you'd be interested. And I was like, what? Because I fully anticipated they just, go the traditional route, find somebody who has graduated college to do this, like most places would. But ended up having some conversations in September, and ultimately, before I knew it, the decision was on my plate. Do you want to be the full-time voice of Notre Dame hockey? And just took it and I've run with it since. And fortunately, it's been a pretty good decision in the first 2 months. It's been a ton of fun so far, for sure.
Well, Tyler, what was that phone call like back to your folks when that comes to your doorstep? Hey, guys, I have a chance to be the voice of Notre Dame hockey.
I mean, I was shocked. That's the first place to start, because, I figured with me still being in college, this was just going to be an ask, like, hey, do you want to do some more games here and there? Like maybe we're going to be, kind of doing a broadcaster by committee type of deal or something like that. I don't know. I wasn't sure if they were just going to start broadcasting only home games, but I was absolutely floored when I heard about the opportunities to travel with the team and to basically do everything that Darren, the man in my seat before me, had done for over a decade. So, that call back to the folks and the extended family, it was it was pretty ridiculous. I was shocked. They were shocked, but we're really happy with the way everything's turned out, for sure.
Well, Tyler, where are the folks in extended family? Where are you from?
So I am from Omaha, Nebraska. Growing hockey community. That's where my immediate family is. Most of my mom's side is down in Kansas City, and then most of my dad's side is actually over in Ireland. So I was able to see my grandparents on his side when we went over to Dublin for the first part of that Belfast trip. But Omaha's home for me. Grew up watching a lot of WCHA, NCHC hockey with the Mavericks. We were season ticket holders for about 5 years in the mid-2010s, and actually ended up driving out to Notre Dame for the 2015 NCAA tournament. They hosted a regional here at Compton Family Ice Arena, and Omaha ended up playing in it, made their first and only Frozen Four appearance, and we were right there in the front row when the team made it to the Final Horn and punched their ticket. So that's definitely one of the cool memories, and it's awesome that things have kind of come full circle, that I'm in Compton every single week now talking about hockey, and it's been a fun ride, definitely.
Tyler, walk us through. You mentioned that there's a lot to juggle between classes, I think you said double majors, and then being the full-time radio voice of Notre Dame hockey. What is the day-to-day life like for you right now as you go through and kind of spin all these plates?
Yeah, well, a lot of it depends on whether we're at home or on the road. Because if we're traveling at the end of the week, my week goes into turbo mode, and I'm just I'm doing work on the weekend ahead of it and Monday and Tuesday just to try and get everything done as quickly as possible. The nice thing is, being the voice of one team, you don't have to do a ton of, week to week specific prep, on Notre Dame. It's mostly just figuring out the opponents and, tweaking some things here and there based on how the season's going for the Irish. But yeah, no, it's definitely a lot. And, it can get tough sometimes when, I have a group project due the Monday after the team's in Ann Arbor or East Lansing, and I have to try and, phone back to my group members in between games and figure out ways that I can contribute somehow. But it's definitely a lot of time management, a lot of prioritizing here and there, because I have a lot of pretty significant roles within student media as well that I figured I would just go through this whole junior year prioritizing those, and then hockey came up, and now I've got to balance everything. So yeah, it's definitely a lot. Definitely a lot.
Well, Tyler, as you go through this journey you're just starting on, do you have like a guy you look up to? Like there's this hockey announcer that you think is the pinnacle?
Oh, man. The voices for me growing up were obviously, the Doc Emmerichs, the John Forslands, even the Brendan Burke, the Islanders, and now with TNT for kind of a younger spin of things. Terry Leahy's been the longtime voice of the Omaha Mavericks on the color side of things. So he's a guy who I had in my ear for a long time. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's necessarily a pinnacle. I love meeting other broadcasters, love hearing their stories, and just tuning in whenever I can. Like, last night I get done with my homework for the day. I've got a couple hours, and I'll just kind of fall asleep putting on different NHL radio broadcasts and hearing, different phrases that I like and different ways to describe the game and all of that. So I don't know. It's a lot of different stuff. I don't know if there's necessarily one guy that I've latched on to all of this time. There are certainly some that I enjoy listening to more than others, but I don't know. I try to just take all of it in and work with things from there.
Well, Tyler, it's been great visiting with you. Congratulations, by the way, on this position you have, and have fun at Wrigley Field, because, it's one of those once-in-a-lifetime deals sometimes, and you just kind of take it all in. And may the Irish start winning a few games for you. That will make you a better broadcaster.
No question. Well, I really appreciate you having the time for me here today.
Some of the thoughts of the voice of Notre Dame hockey, Tyler Reidy. What a great story. Young fella getting a fast start at a very, very high level. So that's one good story, Dalton. But this next story might be one of the best football stories of the entire season. It's all coming up in just a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
If you served honorably in our nation's armed forces and you're looking for a way to continue serving your fellow veterans in your community, then join AMVETS. AMVETS members volunteer millions of hours at VA healthcare facilities from coast to coast, helping to improve the lives of their fellow veterans through the VA Voluntary Services Program. AMVETS posts and departments also participate in a wide variety of community service projects. If you no longer wear the uniform today, you can still serve through the AMVETS by joining today at amvets.org.
You hear that? That's the sound of uncertainty lurking under your hood. You know the feeling. I know I do. That sudden sinking sensation when you see a check engine light or your car unexpectedly breaks down and you're faced with sky-high repair bills. It's time to shield against unexpected repairs with CarShield. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Don't let the fear of a breakdown keep you up at night. Trust the Shield, Car Shield, and say goodbye to terrifying repair bills and hello to peace of mind. Your plan also comes with 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, rental car options, and so much more. Don't wait till it's too late. Call Car Shield now before a breakdown. Protect your wallet. Protect your car with Car Shield. Get our best protection ever. Call now. You'll thank me later. 800-965-1292. 800-965-1292. That's 800-965-1292.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your Social Security number or other personal information and tell you that your Social Security number had been used in connection with the crime? Did you feel worried that your Social Security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information, or instant payment, email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, throughout the course of this series, we report on some of the things that are hot topics. But every now and then we stumble into something that is just so intriguing. It may be a little outside our scope of things, but it's so good. And Dalton actually stumbled on this one.
One of the best stories from the college football season came at the very end, and it came from Southern Illinois, where the Salukis went into the last game and were in need of a quarterback. Injuries had decimated the quarterback room, and so what do you do heading into that game? Well, what the Salukis did was tap on the shoulder of graduate assistant Michael Lindauer, who still had eligibility left, had him play quarterback, and Lindauer led the Salukis to a 62-0 win over Murray State to close out the regular season while throwing a school record 7 touchdowns. An unbelievable story, and joining us now is Michael Lindauer. Michael, we want to thank you so much for the time. And let's start off with, how did this even come to begin with? What were the moments like leading up to this where coaches had to come to you and say, Michael, can you play for us?
No, thank you for having me on the show. Yeah, it was an interesting few weeks in there. But no, when I stopped playing, he had joked with me like, hey, if we need you, you're coming back out there as a joke. And then you don't really think it's going to happen. But once one got hurt in camp and then the starter got hurt like week 3, and the second string guy got hurt in week 6, and then it was like, hey, you're back practicing. And I started practicing and lifting a little bit, not much, but a little bit. And got my body in a decent amount of shape. And then, yeah, once the freshman had gotten hurt, Jake Curry was in, and then I was the only one left. So,
well, lead me here to this journey, because you started your career at Cincinnati. When did you transfer to Southern Illinois, and were you ever a player at Southern Illinois?
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy. I actually committed to Southern Illinois to play baseball and football at high school with my cousin, and ended up decommitting, went to Cincinnati for 2 years, and then took a hit at Cincinnati in a scrimmage. Transferred here in the summer of 21, and my shoulder was pretty messed up, and I ended up getting surgery later that year at the end of the 2021 year in November. And it was a long recovery and a long road, and it took a while to get back, and then so I sat behind Baker here for really 1 year healthy, but 2 years really with a messed up shoulder.
So you're injured and you're having to sit out and kind of end your collegiate career because of the injury, more or less. And this opportunity comes around. Was it something that you thought about? You mentioned there had been a joke, but did you ever think it'd be really neat to finish my career off on a positive note where I could play?
Yeah, that was definitely in the back of my head, where just like, well, you get another chance at it, dude. So why not make the most of it? And there were some ups and downs in the games that I played in, and because I played in the games, 2 games before that last one, but I didn't start just because we had a freshman quarterback. There was no reason for me to start, and once he had gone down, but I was in running situations, and it had been up and down. And then once I got the chance to start, I was like, yep, well, it's the last chance you get at it, man. You might as well go out with a bang. And it's obviously you don't plan for what happened, but I thought as an offense coming into the week we were going to play well, and we got guys that are really good, and we thought we had a good game plan versus that team. So
it's your first and last career start. You set a school record with 7 passing touchdowns. Take me to the game. As you come out the tunnel, you head onto the field, and you're getting your first career start in such a unorthodox fashion. What are you feeling?
Yeah, I felt confident, really. I felt good. Definitely had some nerves and jitters. Senior night, got the family there, so but felt good, and I was confident in what our coaching staff had put together, and then really you just got to go out and play, and that's really where my mind was. Coach, what are you going to do? I mean, there's nobody behind me. You can't bench me, so as bad as I play, I ain't going anywhere. So that was kind of my mindset of just go out there, let it fly, just play free, and that's what we did. So.
You can't be more loose than that. But, Michael, I'm also curious, at what point during this game did you start to realize, hey, we really got things clicking?
Yeah. I think going into the kind of midway second quarter, we had got 4 or 5 passing touchdowns. It was like 4 going in, then got 5 going into half. And I was like, oh, yeah. This feels good right now, because obviously we struggled all year, and a ton of I'm playing quarterback as a GA. You know you're not having a great year, and we struggled all year, and it was good to just get a really good win at the last game.
I'm curious, if you look back on any of those touchdowns, were there any where you had a throw that kind of impressed you, and you said, "Oh, it still is in the tank"?
Yeah, there was. There was 2 of them that impressed me a little bit, but I felt like most of them were guys making plays for me, and Keontez Lewis, the guy that is a stud and came from Wisconsin to here, he's a stud out there. So a lot of them, you're just giving these guys chances, and they make plays with it. But there was a few I was pretty happy with myself about, for sure.
It's a school record, 7 passing touchdowns. You get the win to close out the season. Michael, what was the locker room like after?
It was pretty exciting. There's a video that went pretty viral on SportsCenter that's been going around, and I was out there talking to my family, actually, my grandparents, and they had been sitting in the locker room, I guess, for like 5 minutes, thinking I was in there chanting my name and like looking around for me, and somebody had to come right out and get me, and I got soaked with water and dumping a jug on me and all that good stuff. So.
This is one of the most unique stories I think I've ever seen. That's why we were so excited to get you and talk to you. I'm also curious, too, you mentioned that, so you had your first start, but you had been able to play in a couple of those games, and you've been doing a little bit of the practices, you've been doing a little bit of the lifting. What was the dynamic like when you went from coach and graduate assistant to walking into the huddle with the guys? Like, what was that dynamic flip like?
So it's pretty cool, because my 2 roommates still are the starting center and the starting guard. So those are my 2 roommates, and obviously I know everybody on the team like brothers. I mean, I played on the team for 3 years now, 4 years, and so I know everybody and have a great relationship with everybody. So it wasn't hard integrating back in, but it was definitely just cool to be in the huddle really with those guys, and you get out of the huddle and you're not really involved with the lifting, you're not really involved with the practice because you're a coach now, but to like be back in that side, get back with the guys, and that's what me and my roommates talked about. Like, hey, if I'm back in the huddle, boys, we're letting it go. I mean, it's time to let it fly, and that's what we did, and that was the result we got. So it was exciting to see, and it was fun to be back in that huddle, though.
One thought I had following this was, there's kind of maybe a fantasy of a guy, right, to just kind of walk off the couch and be able to walk onto the field and dominate in sports. That's something that a lot of guys, especially as they get older, kind of talk about.
Not true.
Yeah, I was going to say, so this doesn't break the myth that is?
Not true. My back, as Coach Hill was joking with me, our head coach here was joking with me 2 days ago. He was talking about, I had people saying I should have started you all year and stuff, and we were just laughing. And he said I made, telling him he made the wrong decision. And I said, Coach, my back was hurting after 3 quarters of playing. And he was like, you wouldn't have made it a game and a half. So he was joking with me, giving me stuff, and it's pretty funny. But no, I was definitely hurting. I will say the summer conditioning and the camp and playing a lot of games will definitely help the body more than coming straight off the couch.
That is awesome. I wanted to ask you here too, Michael. Look, you have a real possibility of having one of these Kurt Warner type stories with a career. Is that the future for you? You going right back to the sidelines?
I'm already back up there in the office doing this interview right now.
So playing days are done.
Yeah, playing days are done.
But it's good to know you're kind of just the break glass in case of emergency for years to follow, right, on these staffs?
Yep. I mean, that's what he said. Coach Hill, you should just start making these GA jobs. Just have it ready to go. Somebody that's ready to come in at any time.
It's part of the criteria moving forward. I love that.
Yep, that's what he told me. I need to put that on my resume, trying to get job hires in the future. Like, do you got any other coach that can come in and play quarterback? That's on my resume. If you need me to step in at practice, I will.
Michael, I do want to ask you, this moment where you have a school record, 7 passing touchdowns, you come in and make your first and last career start in college. It really is an amazing story. When you think back over your entire career and life, is this one of your favorite athletic memories? Is there anything that rivals this?
The next closest would be winning state championship and for our high school for the first time, and this is right up. This is probably etched up above that one, I would say, but this can't get beat by much, I wouldn't think. And it's really never happened before, and I know it's happened before with people coming back and playing, but. And as Zeb Nolan, it's actually pretty crazy. Zeb Nolan, if you didn't know, was a guy that did this before me. The only other person I've really ever heard of this happening to was him. And he was a quarterback at North Dakota State and went down to South Carolina and ended up being a GA down there. And it's kind of crazy because he was the quarterback coach for Murray State. And I talked to him before the game, and he's like, me and you have something similar, I hear. And we chatted it up for 10 minutes about everything and how it went for him, and then it's kind of crazy that ended up happening, playing against the guy that started this.
That is unbelievably a small world moment. Michael, what was that conversation like? What do two guys who have had to be just stepping into a quarterback spot in college football games have to say before that game?
Because he stepped in against he went to South Carolina and he played against some pretty dang good defenses when he came in off the couch, and he was just. So I mean, the conversation. Just what were you doing? You know me. I mean, I was a GA, and we're talking about the same thing and what the process was this summer. I was like, you work out at all? Hell no, I didn't work out. And it was a funny conversation, and for chopping it up for however long it was. He wished me luck, and he told me to stay in touch with him, and I shot him a follow on Twitter. So it was just pretty cool to hear from him and how he had played well, and it honestly kind of gave me a little bit of confidence. Like when he told me he had played well in his first start and just let it fly and play loose, and it was good to hear that from somebody that is the only other person really probably in the world or the country or the history of the sport that's done the same thing that I have, and it was pretty cool to have a person there to watch that had done it before me. So,
Michael Lindauer, Salukis graduate assistant and quarterback hero in the final hour. We want to thank you so much for spending the time with us, and best of luck back now in your office as a coach.
Well, thank you very much.
It's one of those stories. It's just pretty human, and what a great story it is. Back with our parting shots in just a moment.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little, but thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
Everything is expensive right now. Gas, food, you name it. You're spending more, you are making the same or less money. So, what do? You rack up credit card debt, that's what you do. It's not your fault. It's the economy. And guess what? If you rack up too much credit card debt like some of us, you can't pay your bills. Then the credit card companies, as nice as they are, start hounding you for money. Then you start your downward spiral. A smart thing for you to do is to call the Zero Debt. They can help you consolidate all your credit card bills into one affordable payment. Millions of people have done it. It works to make you debt-free. Make this free call right now. It costs you nothing to learn more.
800-298-9093. 800-298-9093. 800-298-9093. That's 800-298-9093.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. Learn more at wearebroadcasters.com/hope. Furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player. No matter the challenges I face every day in the NFL, my mom is always there for me, despite her own struggles with muscular dystrophy. And MDA is there for my mom. At their 150 care centers across the U.S., MDA is the leading organization in research and care for kids and adults with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and related neuromuscular diseases. Join me and learn more at helpmda.org today. Thank you.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Teeman here along with Dalton Shetler. Fun show we've had this go around. Some great hockey talk. What a neat football story. But nothing is as good as the parting shots.
Well, you're absolutely right. And by the way, if you did miss any of that, as always, we plug our social media at Sports Life Now on Twitter or X. That's again at Sports Life Now. You can find all of it and our entire show. For the parting shot, I wanted to take a moment to pause and reflect on something during bowl season, because at the beginning of bowl season, as we were speaking with Big Ten radio colleagues, it was brought to my attention that we don't have any teams in bowl games this year that are under 6-6. This is the first time in a little while I can remember that for whatever reason they didn't have to dive into a 5-7 team somewhere to get somebody just to fulfill all the allotted slots of bowl games. And I thought that brought a little bit of integrity back to bowl season. I thought that was a pretty cool thing.
It is, Dalton. And the fact that we even had to dip to 5-7, is it possible we have too many bowl games?
That's a fair guess.
It's possible. Well, here's my parting shot. Right around the corner is January of 2025, which, if you like men's Big Ten basketball, that is the heart of the conference season. And I think something to watch for as we start counting wins and losses. Take a look at how many wins or losses might be attributed to this crazy travel we're about to have. And with that, that's a wrap for this week's show. Appreciate you joining us. And we should also note that you can find us wherever you find your podcast, like SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple. And make sure to check us out and hit subscribe. As always, thanks to the Big Ten Network. The Sports Life is produced by Dalton Shetler and assisted by Owen Cronin. Our executive producer is Wendy Hart. So on behalf of Dalton Shetler, I'm Will Tiemann, and thanks for your time.